Is it? Is it? Yes, it is. I'm live. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Hey, 4 people in here. That's nice. So little Andre, Robert, hello. 2 other people, presumably, might be watching. Monday. Who sang the original? I don't know who sang. I mean, I know the original. I don't know the name of the group, right? Who sang it? I don't know. Can't trust that day. It's all right. I want this to be a hang. I also want to talk about something that came up in my dialogue with Sarah, and which later on she commented on Facebook, and we had a quick back and forth there. This idea. Oh, hello, Khalid says Shalom. Please pray for me. Ramadan Kareem. Ramadan Mubarak to you. Please pray for me. He says I have a stomach bug. Oh, tell me, do you fast if you're ill? I know that, if I'm not mistaken, menstruating women don't fast during the times, during those days on Ramadan. Or do you need to fast even with a stomach bug? That would suck. Hey, the burning element. Wow, haven't seen you in a while. Nice to see you. Good to see you. This is so much fun. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you're here. All right. I do want to get to the chat. Was there anything else? Okay, so yeah, Blink 182. First things first, says little Andre, before Joy and Shekhina. A shout out to Eliza Lipkin. I've watched almost all her videos by now, and she's become my female rabbi. I've always wanted one. I listen to many rabbis. So Eliza Lipkin, right, broadcasts here from Israel. She does weekly Torah portion, the different festivals, and she's done other things in the past. She's been on YouTube for a few years. We had back and forths right on each other's videos back on my own channel, less so in recent months. And little Andre actually asked me if I'm going to get together with her. I said it didn't cross my mind, but I wouldn't rule it out. Maybe around Parashat Naso, where the verses of the Nazarite appear, or something else. I don't know, as it may happen. If I'm called to contact her, if I feel like I want to do that, then I'll definitely do it. But didn't cross my mind as of yet, like intuitively, organically. Okay, joy and Shekhina. So what I mentioned in the dialogue with Sarah, if I'm not mistaken, is this idea of, well, we were talking of Shekhina, we were talking of the daughter, right? Shekhina meaning the divine feminine presence, the feminine, the great feminine. There's this idea of connected with Shekhina, right? Shekhina is represented with, it's the moon, and it's the people of Israel, it's humankind, it's creation, it's all kinds of different things. The idea with Shekhina being something where it operates in this world. It's a dwelling place, right? Much like the temple, much like the tabernacle where God's presence dwelt, the people of Israel, the land of Israel where God's presence dwells in a certain way, and to some extent over all of creation, as I said. But this idea of Shekhina being the daughter, the feminine, the bride, and the idea of a higher Shekhina being the mother, the queen, that has a lot to do with Shabbat. That has a lot to do with the world to come. But we spoke of Shekhina here and there, right, in our back and forth in the form of joy. And I'll quote our sages, the Sefaria translation, which I kind of tweaked. And in the Talmud Bavli, right, the Babylonian Talmud, in Shabbat 30, page 30b, it says, the divine presence rests upon an individual neither from an atmosphere of sadness, nor from an atmosphere of laziness, nor from an atmosphere of laughter, nor from an atmosphere of frivolity, nor from an atmosphere of idle conversation, nor from an atmosphere of idle chatter, right? The divine presence doesn't rest on the individual in all of those cases, but rather from an atmosphere imbued with the joy of a mitzvah. Simcha shel mitzvah. It doesn't even say just joy. It says joy of a mitzvah. And you would think something like laughter would be in there, since it's something to do, it has a lot to do with joy. Well, yes, let's call it that. Our sages, or Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, right? He said that a person should not fill his mouth with laughter and mirth and joy in this world. It's not the place. He says, Olam haba, that's that place, right? The world to come. So laughter is on that list there. But joy of a mitzvah, that's where the divine presence rests, upon an individual that has that atmosphere of a joy of mitzvah, within that atmosphere. So why not just joy? Why is it joy of a mitzvah? I was thinking about this. A mitzvah, there are different types of them, but there are ones that occur naturally in the cycle of the year. And there are ones which appear before you ones that you can do only once a month, ones you can do only once a year, ones you can do only once a festival, right? Different ones with different times, places. And a mitzvah, says Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, mitzvahs and good deeds. He says a person needs to sort of grab them as they present themselves. We only have so much time. It's very finite. We spend so much of our time asleep. We spend a lot of our time at work. We spend, to grab a mitzvah, to grab a good deed, to sort of abduct them and take them to be your own, to not waste the opportunity when a mitzvah or a good deed presents itself, right, within the proper circumstances, parameters, whatever the case may be. It's to be mindful of the fact that things are finite, right, memento mori, and the joy of a mitzvah is a joy where you decide, being an active participant in this life, let's say, even in things which are cyclic in nature, to grab them when they arrive. Shulchan Aruch, right, the great halachic composition, when it starts, one of the earlier passages, right, or chapters, and it says that when people wake up, right, the Orthodox people and others, when they wake up, they give a quick prayer of gratitude, which does not include a name of God, but alludes to one. And right, because there's an impurity that's connected with sleep, and so when you first wake up, you may not immediately utter God's name, but I digress. As soon as you wake up, you give thanks, and when you wake up a bit further, right, you again, being in the Orthodox halacha, right, you put on the talis, you wear the tefillin, the phylacteries, you grab those good deeds as they present themselves throughout the day, the week, the month, the year, your life. The joy of a mitzvah is not a joy which is incidental. It's one where you choose to perform the mitzvah right now or the good deed right now. There's a mindfulness to that joy where it's earned. Because certain things, right, there's a very chaotic and turbulent element to this world. Good things as well as bad will hit us in life, which will cause us joy and grief. The joy of a mitzvah, and I include good deeds inside that, right? The joy of a mitzvah is one where you are being more active, more mindful. And that joy is one that you truly earn. And in doing so, it, metaphysically, if you will, it's yours forever. No one can take that away from you. Something which you did. A Shekhina which rests, right, the divine presence that rests on such an individual who, right, the divine presence, it rests upon the individual from an atmosphere imbued with the joy of a mitzvah. That's where divinity can rest. Not here and there, but dwell with that joy of a mitzvah. The Shekhina, the divine feminine presence, let's say, is awaiting its wedding day, waiting to give birth to that world to come. The joy of a mitzvah is that mindfulness of beyond, of the transcendental. And that's why Hasidim and others, before they perform a mitzvah, they say what's called a leshem yichud, for the unification, meaning the unification of the male and female. I set my mind and orient myself in such a way that this mitzvah will bring about the union of the male and female divine presence. Something like that. Shekhina and this sort of joy, the joy of a mitzvah, there's a connection there. You can, no, you know what? Let's not go there. Let's go to the chat for now and see if there's anything there. Okay, so you have a stomach bug. Let's see. And the burning element, we said hello. Oh man, Khalid, I really hope you're doing well. How bad is the stomach bug? But if you don't want to share, you don't have to. Jonathan, actually called All the Small Things. Yes, but isn't it sung by Blink 182? Right? All the small things. Yeah, isn't it Blink 182? I think it is. So the song is All the Small Things. Hello, hey, my father is in the house. Hello, father. Avimori, my master.
Father-in-law.
Hello. Oh, my woman says hello, father-in-law. So, she also said, what? You want the light over here on the side? Why don't you put it in front of your face? I'm like, I don't care about the shadow. I need to integrate the shadow. Ooh. Okay, let's see. Khalid answers and says, no, you can't fast if it affects your health. But because I can't eat or drink because of my stomach bug, I'm still technically fasting. Yes, well, I hope that you're able to get over the stomach bug, that it's out of your system as gently as possible, that you purge what needs to be purged, you burn off that karma, let's say, and you're able to carry on. And in doing so, that the fast will be able to fortify you and give you that physical strength. And have you ever had, or others who observe Ramadan this month, have you ever had a stomach bug before, Khalid and anyone else? Has anyone, forget Ramadan, has anyone ever been fasting but had a stomach bug? I mean, with what Khalid is saying, it's kind of one and the same. I'm just wondering if it coincided. The burning element says, my wrist is sore from nunchucks practice. LOL, pray for me. Right, so the burning element has been practicing nunchucks for years and years. He showed me recently a clip of him practicing, a short clip. That's pretty awesome. Pardon me, I love the people who are able to discipline themselves and put in the work and train day in and day out. I wish I could do that more with my own things. Let's say, greetings from the lovely Oregon coast, says Karen, aka Oregon Freebird. Good to see you. Good to see you. It's a kiff. What fun. I hope your week, guys, guys and gals out there who start on Monday, I hope your week is off to a good start. May it be a bountiful and fruitful and beneficial week. This week of the first week of Nisan of this new month, and yes, of Ramadan. All right, let's see. Where were we? Oh, I lost my spot. Oh, yes, here. Little Andre said, not going to read what was said in the chat before the video started? I did. I read what you said. I read the first things first, didn't I? First things first. A shout out to Eliza Lipkin. Yeah, I read it. I read it. Come on now. All right, I did, my bad. Okay, see, I could have just kept reading the next line in the chat, but I take it one line at a time because I want to give you my full attention and not go blah, 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 blah. Cool. Khalid says, do girls have bat mitzvahs as well traditionally, or is it just boys? So the tradition as we know it today of the bar mitzvah is a few hundred years old, basically. More than a few hundred, but not that much more, right? The way it's done now. 13 is when you started being, is when you start taking accountability for yourself. It's a twofold process. When you become 13, you are legally of age. 12 for a female, woman. Right? So the guys, the males, the male humans become adults and of age at 13, and the women at 12. However, only at age 20 do certain things begin to apply. So traditionally, women come of age at 12 and men come of age at 13 and 1 day. 12 and 1 day, 13 and 1 day. That's biblically, right? That's Tanakh. That's the Torah. As for the traditions that are surrounding it, where people get called up to the Torah and they read, I did it and I had a blast. It's this idea of an initiation corresponding with the beginning of puberty, lasting throughout your teens until 20, where a shift occurs. Metaphysically, if you want to call it metaphysical, but in life. So girls do have a bat mitzvah in the way that they become bat mitzvah, right? Meaning that they are, what's the word I'm looking for? It's late. It's, what is it? Close to 11. It's 11 p.m. So forgive me if I'm a little, once I start losing my train of thought too much or can't identify, what word to use, that's when I'll know to just leave. But it becomes a part of their duty, let's say halachically, to perform the mitzvahs, again, as they come along. So, okay, so I did greetings from California. Hey, Tyler, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Impurity connected to sleep, says little Andre. Yes, there is an impurity, a ritual impurity, a ritual uncleanliness that's connected with sleep. It says that sleep is 1/60th, in 60, 1/60th. Hey, Pinky Dinky, hello. Okay, I'll give a proper hello. Hey, hello, yeah, hello. So, 1/60th of death. This has different ramifications halachically, one of them being that when you awake, there is a certain a kind of nocturnal defilement that is in you. And I mean in you, again, I use the term loosely. So you wake up, and again, halachically speaking, you do not take several steps before you need to wash your hands. 3 on each hand, alternating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From a specific sort of vessel called a natla, which has handles, and that's, again, halachic reasons, I won't get into it now. But yes, impurity connected with sleep. There are many nuanced and different levels of impurity, ones that have to do with the temple, ones that are always around us, of food, of death, of animal carcasses. Hey, Pinky. And sleep, semen, menstrual blood, different things that require different cleanliness rituals. And they have different traditions, and they symbolize different divine energies that are working to bring balance in the individual and creation and that whole thing. The impurity connected with sleep means you experienced a certain amount of death in the sense of that you were not conscious. And I won't get into the nature of consciousness now, because far be it from me to speak of it, at least, just. But something about sleep is, and nighttime, but sleep, but also nighttime, in and of itself. The first half of the night, right? There are 2 halves to the day, 2 halves to the night. The first half of the night is considered a time where the laws, not the laws, the different forces and agents of the left hand, the left pillar, narrowness, judgment, wrath, din, gvura, they are allowed to operate. People, when they wake up, they need to purify themselves in the sense of literally cleanse the hands, because you don't know where you touched. And if you're going to say God's name in prayer now, you need to be able to make sure that you are pure and literally clean, that your hands are pure. So there's a very technical and practical reason for cleaning your hands first thing in the morning. Hygiene, basically. And to rid yourself of that nocturnal ritual uncleanliness. So that's what that is. On the fly. 2 Kings 12:18. Did Israel get any of that stuff back? As far as I know, no. Because at some point, I remember there were Solomon's golden shields that were given away as a ransom or as some kind of payoff. I don't recall to whom, maybe Aram. And then later, there were silver shields, if I'm not mistaken, silver shields that were once again constructed and later on given as a kind of payoff, protection money, whatever it was. I'm not sure. Right? I forget. Tyler says, we are always supposed to do good works for others. As a follower of Yahweh Yeshua, Tyler says, we are commanded to help others. We were created to do, I'm assuming that wanted to be good, but you said going. But to do going or to do good, we were created to do good. There is a phrase that's connected with, let's say, a certain revelation of the Most High, which is, it's in the nature of the good to do good. And we are commanded to do that in the way that we are an image of God. God is seen as this, again, I don't know God, all I know is how God reveals himself to me. There is this idea of God's revelation as absolute goodness, absolute kindness. And when we seek to embody that, to the degree that we can, emulate that, and to do good, and to feel that we are commanded as followers of that good benevolent force to emulate it and be a smaller image of that in this world, we are always supposed to do good works for others. But halachically, let's give that its due, as long as I'm speaking of halachas here. For instance, in giving of charity, there is a limit halachically to what you are allowed to give so that you don't become impoverished yourself. It's long-term thinking. And when it comes, let's say, to freeing a prisoner, somebody who is held prisoner, there is a limit, halachically speaking, to how much you can give as ransom. There's a number there. I mean, it shifts and changes and circumstances matter. But just a couple of examples of how Yes, do good works unto others, sometimes very spontaneously, as they present themselves, right? The mitzvahs, the good deeds, grab them, but also have something long term in mind, because life potentially is long. You make it long by making it meaningful. You widen yourself, you expand your knowledge, your deeds, the vessel that you are that channels that divine revelation as you are performing it. Right? That will of God, as they say, that is the good, the abstract good. Khalid says, been through the worst of it. Thank God for that. I'll probably be fine tomorrow. Hey, good for you. I just really miss training my fights in 2 weeks. Hey, man, I have never fought, but I can imagine that it really messes up your rhythm, man. I hope you get, pardon me, I hope you get your rhythm back. I'm sure you have the skills, but it's that rhythm of training that is so crucial when you have that goal of a fight. There's no time to screw around, and you lose a day, you lose 2 days, and something grows apart. As you move here, something else moves there, and there's something that has grown apart even more than a day or two. That's how I know it for my stuff. So Ariel says, "Oh, shalom Nami," says Robert. Well, she left. She's in another room now, but I will tell her you said it. Elias says, joining from a train, about to start the long cycle home with my baggage-laden bicycle. Good for you, man. Dealing with plants, cycling long ways home. Tell me, is it an ideological thing? The closeness to the earth, the sustainability of it? Or is it just simply that you enjoy doing it? It's the best way, you want to stay fit. Is there a connection between you being a person who works, the earth and your cycling? I'd love to know. Khalid says, I've done nunchucks ever since I was a child. I can do them blindfolded, but I can't remember my wrists getting sore, just breaking a couple of light bulbs. I could definitely see that. So I have three brothers, and one of them had nunchucks when he was a teenager. I remember that. He carried them for self defense, and again, the discipline of training with them. We were likened, when we were just kids, we were likened to the four Ninja Turtles, and I was Michelangelo because I'm arguably the goofiest, and Michelangelo is the Ninja Turtle with the nunchucks, and nunchucks are cool. Tyler says, I am currently freeform locks on my head and beard because of the Nazarite vow. Any tips to stay strong in my journey? It seems like you're going about it the right way. The journey is simply, it's a journey of submission of sorts, where you just let the hair be. And the beard is not necessarily part of the Nazarite vow. Halachically speaking, it's only the head. You don't need to let the beard dread. You can comb it, you can brush it, what you can't do with the hair halachically. Tips to stay strong: keep talking to yourself, give yourself positive affirmations, keep talking to the Most High, keep those channels of communication open every single day. Speak as I am speaking to you right now, spontaneously, organically. And not all the time, but many times you'll find your path unfolds before you because you keep yourself in check, and you check in with that ideal on a daily. That's the only tip I have. You stay strong in your journey by strengthening yourself every step of the journey. It doesn't make you immune from everything, but it works in such a way where when tragedy does strike, and I mean that across the board, from the whatever you consider tragedy, right, or discomfort or pain of some kind, you're strong. Hopefully, you're strong enough to weather it and to hang on to that pillar of the vow that you took. But that's just again me speaking of it now. No tips other than that, unless you give me a specific situation or condition, whatever circumstances, and I can then discern. But as a general rule, those two things, man. Those two things. Nix, hey Nix, how you doing, man? Hello, hello, hello. Shalom, he says, or she. Is it? Am I? Oh, I'm confusing Nico or Nika with Nix. Nix, are you new? I don't remember. Forgive me. I don't think you are. Okay, let's just plow right ahead here. To shortly touch on subject on suffering and meditation from last time, you said correctly these give us introspection, what not to do, but that's not what I meant. You mentioned drugs. That is what I meant. Drug-like state without intoxication, losing the sense of material outside world. Have you noticed such change in awareness over time? No, but there has been a sense of elevation of the material. Not losing the sense of the material, but feeling like I am flying so freaking high and the material world is right there with me. Losing the sense of the material, I've felt that in dance, in times when I was dancing for hours, or sometimes less than hours, but simply, let's say, at a wedding, I lose myself. There's such, and things like meditation and things like hitbodedut. But whenever usually I am hyper aware of what I'm doing, maybe, or at least in some cases, and I'm focusing all of my energy on being that physical human who is doing this now in this world, in this time, in this place, in this way, alone, out of everyone, a very surgical and personal thing. And obviously it does connect to everything, right? It fractals in and out. But if I'm thinking as far as what you're saying, I'm very aware. So I don't think I've ever been in a drug-like state. I think that, well, what I said, that if I don't lose sense of the world, I'm deeply immersed in the world, acting from within it and elevating it with me. That's how I felt. Not to toot my own horn or anything. It's simply literally how I felt. And that's something that's obviously I have been influenced by Torah and the sages who say exactly that. Out of Cook, I mean, there's let's keep going. I can name names. I can drop names, yo. Little Andre says, since we can talk about anything we want, yes, we can. I thought about this long ago already, in connection with the Nazarite who are to stay away from unnatural things. When does it say Nazarites are to stay away from unnatural things? And what is your definition of natural and unnatural? But I'll keep going here. Death is unnatural. That's why pagans, oh, sorry, it's supernatural. Okay, so let's read that again. Supernatural. He says a Nazarite who are to stay away from supernatural things. I don't understand, man. I'm just gonna read. I'm gonna finish the reading. It's supernatural, even though we think being alive forever now is supernatural. But that's why pagans are so obsessed with death, because something supernatural happens when somebody dies. Right, so you're saying that death is not natural in the sense of it wasn't the original plan in Eden, and it came into the world because of the disgraceful, acts, let's say, of Adam and Chava. What is your definition of natural and unnatural? It's crucial, before we go ahead here, because we might be thinking different things. Not sure I'm articulating myself accurately now. Uh, I mean, you weren't, but maybe other people got you in the chat. People, help me out here. Help me out here. In the chat. I'm going through it bit by bit. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Wait, where were we? Okay. She reminds me so much of our own doggo. Hey, little Pinky, says little Andre. She reminds me so much of our own doggo. By the way, he says, I shot one arrow with a custom-made bow a week or so ago for the first time. Is it your bow? Was it custom-made for you? Or were you simply holding it, someone else's and you were practicing? Also, you shot one arrow. Was it at a target or did you just shoot, blind or wild? You're only a prisoner to yourself and your own mind, says the burning element. Yeah, it says in the Talmud, Ein ani ela bedat. There is only the poor person of the mind. And I mean, they're talking there. The context matters, but it doesn't in the sense of going, dovetailing with what you just said. A prisoner to yourself and your own mind. Rabbi Yehuda Levi, the great poet, and he said that those who are slaves to the Most High are free. The rest are slaves to time and its, and nature. The ones who enslave themselves and who shackle themselves as slaves to the Most High, they are the ones who are free. It's that whole, through you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That New Testament idea. That's something that is in Torah. Obviously, many things that appear there are. Robert says, if you get a chance, read It's Way More Than Shields. Yeah, no, a lot more. A lot more, but I recall the shields, right? Maginei Zahav, Maginei Kesef. Also, if you know someone who's in a bad relationship, abusive mentally, and they don't leave or get help, but you're involved kinda just knowing her, how would you handle that? I would urge that person, if they are in an abusive relationship, to consult with their support system and a therapist, because mental abuse can mean so many different things, and without knowing the specifics, and I'm not asking, right? It's none of my business, but consult those who care about you and talk to somebody to discern, to understand if it is. If it is an abusive relationship, that it's bad. I mean, it's they don't leave or get help. You say they don't leave or get help. Listen, I think that they need to make that move. If children are being hurt as a result of it, call CPS. But you can't, I think, force someone out of their home, unless you want to commit them to some sort of an institution, but that's not the case here. I don't think you can force someone. I think if they want to stay under the rod of the abuser, that I don't know the law, but I think that I would urge them to get help. Really. What did you make your bow from, little Andre? Oh, so I suppose it was his bow. With Ariel saying that. Knowing her, let's see. Robert, did you see my answers to you on Facebook? Asked little Andre. Are you a keen archer? Says Ariel. Asks Ariel. Yes, I'm wondering that too, little Andre. Are you a keen archer? Is anyone else out there? Have you ever? I've never fired a proper bow. I think. I don't think I have. Have you? Give me deets. I'm interested. Um, that seems like I've thrown darts. We have a dartboard at work. Oh yeah. Not very good, but occasionally I'll walk in there and toss a few darts. Khalid, I've been doing them since I was 11, says the burning element. Ooh, that's a long time, man. Good for you. Such discipline. I commend you for that. Robert says to little Andre, no, also I heard a cool Hebrew name, Ben Shalom. So wait. So he didn't see your answers on Facebook. Maybe he'll check them out now. But Andre says to Ariel, oh no, I didn't make it. Not sure what it's made from though, but from a couple of things. Well, that does make sense that it's from a couple of things. Robert, please remember to answer his comments, says little Andre. Ariel says, I cycle for a number of reasons, mainly so I don't run so much of a risk of running anyone or anything over. Oh, I see. Is it like an anxiety thing? I don't have my license yet. But I understand. Yeah. So you don't run the risk. It's a viable risk. It's a viable risk because even if you are being the most careful driver, the road can be such a violent place that you can be the most careful, the most, take every precaution and still end up in a, yeah, yeah. These machines, man. Little Andre says, a Rasta who represented the tribe of Shimon, coincidentally, once told me that they are stronger together. So Congos then. Well, I'm sorry, Tyler. Do you mean to let the locks stay strong, perhaps? Okay, are you talking about strong hair, Tyler? Or were you talking about the journey as in the Nazarite vow? In a way, you can look at them as one and the same because the same principles apply. But I'm wondering now as well, since maybe I misunderstood it. Suffering, says the burning element, is only a view of what we think of suffering. Well, yeah, but pain, for instance, is something that can really take you over. And some say it's the only very real thing, right? That whole kind of existentialist approach of pain and suffering and death being the only things that are real, or death at any rate. Maybe I'm just exaggerating with the others. Yes, it's me, Nixa. Okay. I think you already told me that, and okay, cool. So it is you. Hi, again. Good to see you here. Whoops, where were we? Oh, okay. Robert says, I find in my own personal life I'm stronger mentally when I read 2 chapters in the Bible every day. My bad days come when I don't get 2 full chapters in. Maybe that's just me. Well, I think that the rule with something like this, when you're seeking discipline and when you want to be stronger mentally, don't be a tyrant. Be the helper. Be the supporter of your own cause. And if you don't get through the 2 full chapters, to say that that's why the bad days come, or to see it there as the bad days come when I don't get those, that puts a lot of pressure on you to get them done. And then that crosses over from something which is supposed to be joyous, right? The joy of mitzvah, the joy of having that divine presence rest, the joy of being able to take time out of our busy days and nights, as the case may be, and read 2 chapters or 2 verses or 2 paragraphs of Torah, of the Bible. And to put all of that pressure on such a thing which is supposed to be joyous, it can potentially be problematic. But maybe it is maybe it is a universal thing, or maybe it is just you that you feel that bad days come and that coincides with it. What is it? Correlation does not imply causation, right? Is that how it goes? So I go with that line. So, by the way, said little Andre, if you remove the second sh from the name Shimshon, it's Shimon. Okay. Once again, I think you're reaching with this Shimon. I really do. But you know what? It caused you to do a smiley at the end of of your words there. So who am I to say that I think you're reaching or not? If you put a smile on your gotcha, I think. If I put a smile on your face, then go for it. Ariel says, got attacked by a sheep, rammed by a sheep the other day. What do you think God is trying to tell me? Well, be careful, because some sheep will attack you. I have no idea what God is trying to tell you. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. I don't know how God is revealing himself to you, or herself for that matter. I'll tell you this: the sheep is mostly represented, always represented as Rachamim, the middle pillar. And it has, that's why many sacrifices are lambs, right? Sheep. If a sheep rams you, I think that, is there something is there something that you're trying to, no, you know what? I'm not going to phrase it that way. I don't know what God is trying to tell you. I really don't. I'd have to have more details, circumstance, context. The burning element says death is the most natural thing of life. We learn to see it as a new part of life. When we learn to see it as a new part of life, we are free. Hang on, there's a hair in my face. Ah, hope I got it. Hello again, Pinky. Hello again, woman. Did you just give me the finger? No? I think you did. I think she did. So, when we learn to see it as a new part of life, we are free. Right, that idea of the tree of life that we haven't partaken of yet. Life and death both are the pre-life, pre-tree of life. Not losing sense of the world, just losing sense that there is such a thing as outside, said Nix. Yes, definitely. Many, many times. If you're talking about just, being very, very concentrated and losing sense of the outside and being very focused on oneself, but simultaneously with all that all encompassing, all enveloping, transcendent like feeling, yes, but intoxicated and drug like, not so much, not in that sense. No. Because my idea of, let's say, drug like is a real it's a warping of time and space. But when I do what I do, when I do it and I merit that feeling and that experience, that discovery, it's that elevation. It's not something being warped, it's something being elevated, if that makes sense. Because when you're here and you deal with, let's say, drugs, and a chemical change occurs in the brain, what alters is space and time and the world as you know it, basically. And I'm not speaking as a psychonaut, so I don't know. I'm not a psychonaut. I have my own experiences, but I'm certainly not a psychonaut. And explorers of consciousness through substances and other things. But to elevate it means that you are at a different plane, let's say. And so it's not being warped, you're taking it higher. You're raising yourself and taking it along with you. It's not staying where it is on that plane and warping it, it's a different plane altogether. I hope I'm making a little bit of sense. And I don't mean to come off all, I don't know what I'm not looking to come off as, but I hope I'm not. No, I shot at a target, but I shot right next to the target. Well, you know what? Maybe next time you'll hit the target. I miss with darts many times as well. But sometimes it's the angle because I need to stand a certain way. There's equipment there. Okay, let's see. What is truth? Is this a question that you're stating, that you're putting forth, the burning element? What is truth? Oh, okay, so yes, and he answers. Truth is only what is in, pardon? Truth is only what is inside you, not what others think they see. So you're saying it's completely subjective and personal. How do you feel about the term my truth then? Is truth an objective thing, or is it always, always a subjective thing to you? Is there such a thing as objective truth in your view, the burning element? I'd like to know. Ariel, are you vegan? Says Robert. I think I may have asked that. I don't think he is, but I might be wrong. Ariel says, love archery, have a target in the woods here, not mine though, and learn from my childhood. Ooh, that's very cool, Magniv. And how far, Ariel, how far has been what was your farthest shot? Not in the bullseye, but, on target. What is your farthest consistent aim, right? From what distance? I'd love to know. Yes, but I eat fish, so pescagan. Dairy too sometimes. All right, that's cool. Actually, so just pescatarian. I guess so too. Yeah, I suppose you are. Pescatarian leaning towards vegan at times, I would think. Um, I hear that's a good diet. Nix says, I may use too strong a word drug-like, but not far, especially with some nice ambient space music. I haven't listened to enough ambient. I do enjoy it. Akira the Don has done so many amazing things as an artist with speech and ambient and trip hop. So many good things, the things that he throws together, and all those artists that he. Robert says there was a king in Israel who done wrong in the eyes of God, and God smote his bowels. I mean, really bad. Talk about a stomach bug. Now that reminds me of Eglon, the king of Moab, which is it Gidon? No, not Gidon. Yiftach, Ehud, the son of Gera, who had a short lance or a short sword, and he sliced open, he stuck his blade in the stomach of Eglon, the king of Moab, and everything just sort of leaked out, and he's dying, and everyone in the kingdom, while Ehud made his getaway, everyone in the area of the palace where the king was, thought that he was just on the John. He was dying over there. That's lovely. Little Andre says to the burning element, only pagans like Pontius Pilate ask questions like that. I don't believe the things in the New Testament even happened, so don't worry. Just joking. Ooh, 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 don't worry. Just joking. On a serious note, though, says little Andre, the Torah is the only truth that matters. I hear you. I hear you. I think when I see that line, truth and Torah is the only truth that matters. There's the saying Torah emet natan lanu. This idea of Torah and truth being represented in the Sfirah of Tiferet, again in the middle pillar, a Sfirah that brings harmony between the left and the right. A Sfirah which is represented through Israel, Jacob, and in the higher part of that revelation, that influence through Moshe Rabbeinu, the great bridge. And so it's the only truth that matters in the sense of Istakel ba'oraita ubara alma, right? God looked at the Torah and created the world, as Midrash says, where the way that the Torah specifies how to live, and I mean that again loosely because things change, and there's oral Torah and there's written Torah and that whole thing. I know some people don't believe in that. I'm just saying as a general understanding that this thing exists. The validity, you can debate it. Torah being truth means a way, a path, an ideal, a life that revolves around, centers on meaning and legacy and bringing balance and harmony, finding that path to the tree of life that we lost so many ages ago. We're on the road to somewhere. Here is the best path to get to it. So I understand what you mean when you say the Torah is the only truth that matters. And I also understand those who would say, no, that's archaic garbage, and truth is something you need to find out for yourself. But you do need to find it out. You need to know yourself, really know yourself, to the best of your ability. Much like the Torah was told and learned to Abraham with his kidneys, they say, since he had no rabbi. His Torah was one that he learned from the inside out, because he was that type of individual. Because he was a man of God, walked before God, made a covenant of the flesh, no small thing, and a couple of other covenants to boot, or the other way around, chronologically. The Torah was inside of him. Right? You get to know yourself, you get to know who you are, you get to know your truth in a deeper way, and there the Torah is. Okay, let's see. Was that cold water Daniel threw on you? It wasn't ice water, but it was cold water, yeah. Yeah, it was. Little Andre says, Ariel, I am a pescatarian too, but I don't eat dairy, or rarely though. Sometimes, once in a while, that contains dairy. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, man, people will eat what they'll eat as long as you can sustain yourself and don't go too far on anything. Stay, everything in measure. Stay active, sleep, and eat. And it will help you live, laddie. It will. Tyler says, what I meant was I have straight hair, and I'm nervous about the changing of my hair and beard. Oh, okay, see, I thought that you had already been doing it a few years. My mistake. It will be my first time locking my hair and beard. This is why I was asking for tips to stay strong. Ah, okay, now that you clarified that, the same principles apply. This has to do with submission, letting nature take its course. And if you took the Nazarite vow, then that has to do, right? Freeform dreads have to do with all that, right? Letting nature take its course and submitting to the process. Patience, humility, many good positive traits can be learned through this practice, even if you're not Hebrew and even if you don't take the vow. But if you take the vow, or if you're, if you take the Nazarite vow, if you're Hebrew, if you're not, then technically you're not a Nazarite, but you might want to do it and consider yourself a Nazarite. Either way, I don't differentiate because it's your life, right? Just you don't need to abide by the laws of the Nazarite since you're not of the people of Israel. But I digress. To stay strong, yeah, just keep walking day by day. That's it. That really is it. I don't know your circumstances. I don't know your environment. I don't know. Maybe you really do need somebody to tell you how to stay strong in face of A, B, C, or D. So again, if you have any specifics to share, I'd love to get into, into the depth of it as much as I can. But if it's just general, how do I stay strong? You strengthen yourself, you fortify yourself. What I said before, for sure. Same thing applies. Robert says, Tyler, I think the best is not to care too much what other people think. Yeah, do your thing. You do you. Nick says, if not too personal, are you glad you're back in Israel? In short, advantages and disadvantages. Yes, I am very, very glad. It's been over 6 months since we've been back. It's what, 8 months already? 7 months, something like over 6 months now, and I am still so happy to be back. Really, I am. I'm still coming back as far as I'm concerned. I love it. I really, really do. It's such a pleasure to be here, even with all the crap that's happening here and that never stops happening here. So many different levels. It's my home. It's the land of the Hebrews. The land belongs to God. Let's make that clear. But it is Eretz Israel to me, as being part of Am Israel. Hopefully, in time it will be the land of all nations. Right? With Yerushalayim, all nations will come. And we will gather, unite in celebration. So, advantages. The hummus. Well, the food, by and large. Hebrew, everywhere. I love it. Working from the office. I needed it. Disadvantages. Nope. No. No disadvantages. We are all thriving here. Thank God. Toda le'yah. There is so much going on here. Nama and I and the rest of the family. We're doing our best here, using the tools that we're given. And things are not perfect by any means, but they are. Uh, I catch myself a lot in moments where it's more perfect than imperfect for short bursts of time, right? But it's when I take just the scope of things, so many blessings, so much pleasure, such an honor to be learning Torah again in the land of Israel, to be broadcasting from Jerusalem again. It's something that I started 3.5 years ago in the Netherlands. So yeah, good things, all good things. Robert says we have the chance to fly to Israel, but oh my God, 3,400 a piece. Talking it over and saving up maybe. What? 3,400? $3,400 a piece? What? How does that make sense? I don't think those are the prices. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't flown in a while to the States, but oh man. Oh wow. Moving right along. I hope you're able to save it up. I hope you're able to create yourself the opportunity, right, to be financially independent and not have to talk it over. That you'll be able to that life will present itself to you in such a way where you will be able to take advantage of these opportunities and that you make enough money to sustain not only trips like these but many others to come. By the way, says Lalandre, my dad told somebody again who visited us today that I'm a Nazarite because he don't want them to think I'm a Rasta, but he's also proud of me living a set apart life, I think. And then I told the person what the Nazarite vow is, says little Andre, what it's about, because they're Christian and didn't know. And then said, yeah, but that's in the Old Testament and there's a New Testament now. And then I told them I don't believe in the New Testament. It keeps going, people. Let's keep going. We're plowing right ahead here. And that started a whole argument. And because my dad don't really believe in the New Testament much anymore, so the great debate was going in our home today. Well, was there any clear winner? Did you get points? Were there any zingers or one-liners or quips that you would like to discuss? Do tell, little Andre. Robert says, have you heard of rabbis celebrating Passover a day before Passover to celebrate one day with their students and one day with their family? That's what Yeshua did. Well, in the Gola, in the diaspora, in exile, they have 2 days of Yom Tov, 2 days of the holiday. Not the first and the seventh day that are in the Torah, but they have 2 days, the first and the seventh, the first and the second, where they, let's say, make the Seder. Now, the Passover Seder, which is the Passover sacrifice, the lamb, and everything that goes along with it, was done on the eve of the 15th of Nisan. But they celebrate 2 Yamim Tovim, 2 beginnings of the festival consecutively, one day after the other. One day with their students, one day with their family definitely makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Disadvantages, he says, Palestinians. Joking. Yes, I do hope it's a joke. Oh my god. This conflict. It's a spiritual conflict. It's not, as far as I'm concerned, it's not about territory. It's more of a spiritual conflict. But let's not get into that. It's also very much a military conflict, right? But let's not get into that. That's including hotels in Israel and food there, a lot of other stuff for a week. Oh, yeah, okay. Now that makes sense. Oh, damn. That makes sense. Little Andre says, I tried not to engage in the beginning and didn't, but couldn't help myself. Well, let's put it this way. Little Andre, now that it's after the fact, do you wish that you had stopped yourself? Do you wish that you, hang on, do you wish that you had acted differently? Was there anything that you said that you would take back? You know, so let's see. Also, I think I'm gonna go soon. Yes, it's almost an hour. I'm gonna go soon. Ariel says, honestly, he says, not sure. Longest shot on target. Never gone to a professional firing range, and I've always used a traditional longbow. Well, that's cool. Good for you. People who practice things, nunchucks, archery. Not really, says little Andre. Just managed to reach common ground on one matter, but don't want to discuss it now. No, that's cool. I understand. It's good to reach common ground. Those of you who follow, the channel know that whenever somebody's trolling or whenever someone comes with any objections or negative comments, the thing that I strive for before anything is to find some sort of common ground. Now, sometimes maybe it's to my detriment, but I think that it's important because you can build on common ground. You can't build on these oppositions unless you recognize the glory and the beauty of the potential in the opposition and the idea of being able to oppose one another. That conflict bringing balance. If you look at it more holistically, right, and not just something that's happening now here in the chat or in the comments, right? It's something where you build common ground because it grows in more ways than just this argument or this debate. So I'm glad that you could find common ground on one matter. Robert says, according to the written law of Moses, the new year is coming up this month. Well, the new year was 2 days ago with the new moon. This month is the first of the months of the year to you. The biblical New Year, Aleph Nisan, 6 months after the, let's say, Rabbinic New Year of Tishrei, Nisan and Tishrei both being names that were only cooked up later, right? In the Tanakh, we have the Hebrew names. Those are what? Akkadian, Babylonian. No, Akkadian. Assyrian, or a mixture thereof. The names that we have now, Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev, those are not the original names. In the Torah, it's numbers for the months. And later in the Tanakh, we see Yerach Bul, Yerach Eitanim, different Hebrew words corresponding with different months. But those that we know now and that are in the Hebrew calendar came later. The Rabbinic and the Mosaic New Years, they are, if you look, for instance, in the Mishnah, in the oral law, in tractate, in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, the first chapter, the first Mishnah of the first chapter there says that there are 4 New Years. There are 4 New Years in the year. I won't get into them now. But this is not the only time where there's a new year, right? The New Years represent different things. Again, different divine revelations. And the way that, again, that cyclic nature that I spoke of at the beginning of the broadcast. And so it's not just that there's one now and one later, right? The festival of trumpets, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Teruah. There are others. So there are 4 of them. And that's meaningful too. See, I'm starting to lose it. I'm losing my train of thought. And that means I'm going to say goodbye. I would love to continue with the chat. I will have to continue it on Wednesday. Thank you, each and every one of you. Let's go through this quickly here, man. Oregon, Tyler, little Andre, Robert, Nixa was here. Who else? Who else? The Burning Element was here. Khalid was here. Khalid, I hope you feel better. Was there anyone else here? Did I miss it? Oh, Oregon Freebird. I already said her. Who else? Who else was here? People. I think that was it. I think that's it. Everyone who was here. And people who were not engaging, but who were watching. People watching now, people watching later. All you guys out there, guys and gals, thank you. I deeply appreciate your time, your kind attention. I can't go through with the chat right now because I want to give you my full attention, and that means I'll have to continue it on Wednesday. I don't take it for granted. It's always such an honor, such a pleasure to get on here and broadcast and be with you, engage with you, learn from you, learn with you, hang out with you, and try to expand, to have an experience. It was a good experience for me. I hope it was for you. God willing, I'll see you Wednesday. Until then, let's have a wonderful, wonderful continuation of this week. God bless. Toda leah.